What's up guys, today we're reviewing the G-Shock GA 2100 IAER Octagon series. Before we get into the main pros and cons of this device, I'll be going through the most important specs of this device and key features that you need to know before you make your purchase. So starting off with the first spec, the price. This device is priced at about £100. I have seen it go down as much as £90 though. It just depends where you're getting it from. It can survive a 200-meter depth, so this is quite deep. And it can definitely survive any swims that you want to have. Maybe even if it drops in a lake, you can probably still get it back and it probably will still work, which is great, especially if you do like ocean swimming or something like that. It has an auto calendar. This means that it changes the day every day. So today's the 12th, tomorrow will be the 13th, so on and so on. It does the same thing with the month as well. It has world time, so this means it has pretty much all the times in the world, and I can quickly set it to whichever time I want. This is especially important when I'm going on holiday. It just gives me a quick process of changing the time. Obviously, it's a G-Shock. As to be expected, it does have shock resistance. Obviously, if you drop it, it's going to be resistant and scratch resistant as well. It has a minimum battery life of 3 years. Obviously, you can get this replaced and it will last much longer as well. It has an alarm function like any other G-Shock. And yeah, that's about it for the key features that everyone should know before they even think about purchasing this device. But nevertheless, let's get into my first positive. The real reason you're here, more than likely the only reason you're here, the design. The design of this Octagon series is really simple, sleek, and it has all the features that I need on the watch face, but it doesn't take up too much space. It doesn't look bulky like the other variations of the G-Shocks out there. The whole design is very simplistic, but it's very accessible as well. It's very easy to understand and I don't feel overwhelmed with the features. It feels like I can access the features easily without being confused when trying to start a timer, for example. Also, speaking of the Octagon series, the Octagon series is just way thinner. I'm used to G-Shocks that are really bulky. I struggle to put them on under jumpers and stuff like this, but this series is much thinner than your average G-Shock watch. So if you're the type of person that likes G-Shock's durability, but you didn't appreciate the size of this, this might be the watch for you since the size really is greatly reduced. Obviously, I wouldn't say it's to that Apple Watch, the Fitbit thinness yet, but it is definitely making it there. Another reason why I really and truly do think you should get this is because of the easy setup. Obviously, as I've said previously, it does have world time. And luckily, London was on here. So all I needed to do was click a few buttons, get on to London, and everything else was done. The time went round in circles automatically and did all that business, stuff that I don't understand. But either way, it did it. All I needed to do was press like 3 buttons. It just makes the whole process much easier. I remember when I first got my older G-Shocks, I spent like hours fiddling in settings, especially because I didn't read manuals because I'm cool. Nah, I'm joking. But in all seriousness, yeah, I don't read manuals. So yeah, I just messed about with it in 1 to 2 hours and I ended up figuring it out. But with this, even if I don't read the manual, it's really simple. Just hope your country or city is on there, because if not, it might still take a while, but not my problem.
Here to tell you right now, we don't care.
Let me tell you
We don't care.
And the next positive is something that I know every single viewer is waiting for, and they probably know what I'm gonna say. It's the durability and the screen's resistance. Well, not the screen, the glass's resistance, but either way, it's very durable. This watch can survive a 7-story drop and won't even have a scratch on it, which is absolutely crazy. I would say it's kind of overkill because the only drops I do have are from my wrist to the floor. Like, it's not gonna be 7 stories, But if it did happen, it's nice to know that it will be safe and secure, because even though it's not a high range watch, it still is quite expensive. Also, the fact that the glass is actually scratch resistant as well also makes it a viable option to buy a watch, because I'm always putting my watches in my pockets and my keys are in there. Like sometimes I just need to take off the watch, relax a little bit, and my keys are in there. It's always scraping against the thing, but because it's scratch resistant, I don't even need to worry. But yeah, if you are considering buying a G-Shock watch in general, you shouldn't even need to think about how durable it is. The name brand just says it all. And the final positive slash feature about this device that I absolutely loved was the glow in the dark clock hands. This is because I know there is a light inbuilt on the actual watch, but it never lasts long enough for me. I need it to last much longer for me to actually see the time. I end up having to press it like 3 or 4 times to actually get a good grasp of what time it is. But with the glow in the dark feature, I can just see the clock hands and it can tell me the time really quickly with just a glimpse. So it just makes the whole process of checking the time really easy. Well, for the most part. Sometimes it does get quite sunny and the glare's too much, but there's no way to move around that apart from covering it a little bit. But for the vast majority of the time, I can actually tell the time now and not have to fiddle around with the lights for like 5 minutes to try and figure out what the time is. But now it's time for the cons of this device. Things that I didn't like and things that I would like to be improved in future versions. This may be a me problem for the first negative, but the watch strap holes are a little bit too tight or too large. I'm on the 3rd hole. Obviously, I have smaller wrists. They're not as large as average. They're not really marketing towards me in general anyway, but it doesn't fit me. It's either too tight where I feel like my whole arm dying, or it's too big where I can hear it crashing against my bones. There's no middle point really and truly. Obviously, this won't affect everyone, but the people that it does affect, I'm just letting them know that people with thinner wrists may experience this problem. But you could always buy a different strap, but again, that's extra spending, which may be unnecessary. The next problem with this device is the fact that the buttons definitely are too small. With original G-Shocks, the buttons are quite large and pretty easy to press, but with this device, I have to actually use my fingernail to press the button. Again, this wouldn't be such a big problem if I didn't use this for exercise. Usually when I run a few laps around the park, I like to time myself. And when I try and stop the timer, I just want to quickly press on the button and it not causing any problems. But because I'm hot, tired, and just not really looking properly, it's like I'm pressing the button but maybe not hard enough or not at the right angle. Therefore, I'm just spending 30 seconds extra just trying to fiddle with this, trying to pause the timer, which just adds extra time to my run. So the buttons are fine in general, but after a sweaty run where your hands are slipping off the thing, it gets really annoying at times. So I would just say be wary of that if your plan is to use it while running, jogging, cycling, any strenuous activity. I recommend looking at an alternative like a Fitbit or something, but that's just me. Pretty much the final negative about this device is the fact that even though it is black, it gets dirty in the crevices. There's been like some weird residue on my watch for a couple months now. I don't know where it is, I don't know when it came, but I've been trying to wash it off and it just appears. I don't know if it's me just being nasty or what, or unclean with my watch, but it's not going. It's on either side of the watch. And it's not causing me any trouble or harm, but I would say that it is kind of ugly to look at sometimes. Maybe that's just because I don't treat my things well, but I would say definitely be careful of this and getting your stuff dirty, because it really is hard to remove this stuff. But now, time for the conclusion. In conclusion, I would recommend this device. It's a good watch. It has great features. It's at an affordable price as well, and the build quality is one of the best in the world. So I would recommend it. And if I had the chance to buy it again, I probably would, because it is an amazing watch. Nevertheless, it's been your boy Mr. K again. I'm recording late, so I'm going to go to bed now. Hope you have a good night, and yeah, subscribe.